good guys, it's Heath Legend here. Really hope you're doing well. Today I'm going to talk about changes that should or could be implemented into Dead by Daylight in order to make it a more fun and fair experience for new and old players alike. I'll preface this by saying I do predominantly play killer, so that may mean that I am favouring one side more than the other, but I don't intend to. Before we continue, please remember to hit that like button and smash that subscribe, as it really helps with the exposure for the channel and with the algorithm. Anyway, let's go. First up, in-game statistics. I genuinely can't believe that Behaviour haven't already implemented this within the game, and it's 5 years old now. In-game statistics that demonstrate every variable possible in order for players to specifically know the best killer, the best perks, the best builds, best add-ons, or their most frequently used add-ons, maps that they've played more than others, playtime, individual killer / survivor playtime, and the like. You know, it's such a simple quality of life change, and it would really be hugely welcomed, I'd imagine, by the majority of the community. Now this one's a bit of an intricate one. Per killer camera sensitivity. Now, a game with so many different killers with different abilities and mechanics, it's pretty dumb having a universal camera sensitivity that applies to all of the killers. I'm going to be real with you. I absolutely suck at ranged killers and killers where you have to aim from a various amount of distance away, which hurts because obviously Nemesis, as we know, is one of my favourite characters. But because I don't have the inclination to constantly min-max my camera and change it depending on what killer I'm going to use for a game or two, there's literally zero way for me to practice reasonably without being disheartened, and I'm not able to find the sensitivity that works for me without not wanting to play the game. And you know, the fact that there's zero unranked mode where players can, you know, try non-meta builds, meme around, or just simply practice with tactics and different killers, you know, it's strange. So I think a per killer camera sensitivity, it would help in the sense of I don't need to constantly change it once I've played, let's say, Huntress, and then I'm going to go back to Trapper or Myers. Next one is bot mode. Why is this not a thing? This goes on to my last point really. Imagine there's a new killer out with Pinhead coming up, and you, let's say you can't play the PTB for whatever reason, but you want to try them. However, you're in the really high ranks, the red ranks, or now soon to be gold ranks, and you come up with an optimized squad or a bully squad or whatever it is, a sweat squad. But the thing is, we don't have to imagine that, do we? Because that already happens on a day-to-day basis. Hopefully with the rumours of a bot mode, and of course the AI that was implemented with Nemesis, and now to be, you know, Pinhead with the chains chasing people, hopefully it does come sooner rather than later, because I do believe that the community would really like to have that implemented within the game. Practice makes perfect. Now another bit of a strange one here. This goes back to my suggestion when it comes to range killers having their own sensitivity. I genuinely believe that range killers should have a brown crosshair / target of effect add-on. You know, it's really simple. You know, I do believe that range killers do need a crosshair area of effect aim box. You know, at least for the first 100 games as that killer. You know, because obviously you start getting muscle memory, then you start knowing where the general trajectory of a throw or a tentacle or of Deathslinger's harpoon will go. I've noticed that DVD is really reliant on situational awareness, very reliant on it. In fact, muscle memory and certainly pattern recognition. You know, a temporary add-on that you can only get, say, within the first 100 games of using that killer, it'd be very welcoming to new and older players alike looking to learn new killers, looking to understand how they feel without feeling absolutely disheartened with trial and error. Customizable points of interest colours. Does anyone else sometimes struggle to see the red aura of hooks and gens when they're playing killer, or other points of interest when they're survivor? Is it just me? It honestly can't just be me. Customizable colours would be great for in-game visibility. I do really appreciate the work that Behaviour have put into making it accessible for people with various different colour blindness, You know, but going that step further in order to be able to every player to be able to customize their points of interest, it would go a long way to making the game even more accessible to people that aren't necessarily colorblind but do struggle to differentiate. Comment Zancian Tactics perk. Since it's buff, it is genuinely one of the best perks for new killer players, or when a new map's introduced. Problem is, it's a premium killers perk, a killer that you have to buy as DLC. You don't get Oni for free. So I'd suggest making Zancian Tactics a common perk and giving Oni a retrained new perk, or alternatively make Oni a free killer. As a perk, it genuinely should be available to everybody to use, as opposed to being gated by some sort of payment. Customizable menu backgrounds from previous events. We definitely all want this, right? Even if we can't change it when a new chapter drops, I'd still be happy. I'm not sure why this isn't a thing really. Could it be licenses? I'm not so sure. It's just a bit strange how we can't change the menu depending on what, you know, our preferences really. One that I don't think many people will agree with, but redo killer sizes and add new sizes. Some killers are far too big, some of them are massive. Bubba is basically the same size as Oni and Nemesis. Sure, Bubba is a big boy, is a tubby lad. A pork ball is very imposing, but he's not meant to be as physically as imposing as Oni, Demogorgon or Nemesis. I do genuinely believe that they should implement a very tall criteria and the stooping animation for really tall killers going through doors, at least on the side of the survivor viewing the killer at least. You know, it makes the game look a lot more polished and aesthetically pleasing, especially when spectating, you know, streamers and whatnot. You know, and also shrink killers like Bubba and the like to make them more closer to survivor sizes. Not saying the same size, but you know, more relative to their size really. You know, for instance, Leatherface's intimidation came not from his size, but his visage and his mannerisms as a character, not simply because he was imposing. His imposing build was really secondary to everything else that he had going for him. This one's going to be 100% controversial, but decaying exit gates. You know, I don't care what survivors say. I don't think 99 in exit gates is toxic. I don't think it's toxic at all, because people should be able to play the way however they want. But I do think it's a crappy practice designed to lead into toxicity after. You know, they want a killer to chase them just as they 100% the gate, just to teabag at the gate. There's no reason why you just wouldn't open the gate. Once the gens are done, you've got nothing else to do. So really you should just 100% the gate and try and escape. But they're 99 gens in order to be able to get that teabag in and you know, those flashlight blinds and whatever, just to run out like a coward after when the killer tries to, you know, bait them or whatnot. And also, whilst I'm at it, I think once both gates surpass a 50% charge rate, only one gate should be allowed to be opened. You know, the killer's usually lost by then anyway, so pretty much why don't you just give them another chance to potentially secure a kill or just end the game quicker. At least give us a perk that another perk that goes on exit gates, because at the moment I do feel it's really one-sided exit gates, especially if you're a killer that doesn't like playing Noed. I only played Noed when I first started. If you want to play Noed you can, but I don't play it simply because I don't think you get much application out of it unless you're losing anyway. But again, the game's already lost at that point anyway, so why would you argue against only being able to open one gate? It just makes it a bit fairer for both sides really. Build loadouts. Again, how is this still not a thing? The simple things behaviour just seem to not implement whatsoever. A game that's basically a live service game at this point in its life cycle still hasn't got a basic feature like this, which is something that's beyond me really. Most other live service games have this as part of their bread and butter. You look at The Division, you look at the failed games like Anthem, other games like Destiny, they've all got build loadouts. Sure, they're different types of games, but they're still live service games. So you want to jump in and out. You don't want to be, once you've set up that build, once you've used those menus, once you don't want to keep using them over and over again, just gets a bit annoying. You know, if I want to go for a no flashlight build, a hex build, a gen defense build within the lobby as a response to, you know, items that survivors appear to be bringing into the match, I have to fumble around perks that blend into one another. You've only got a minute to try and find your perks. Sometimes it's hard to find, you know, Lightborn or, you know, Franklin's Demise. Sometimes it's really difficult, especially because they're all the same colour. Once you've tier 3'd them all, they're all purple. So yeah, you can alphabetize them in your head. But when you're trying to think, yeah, what can I do with these survivors? Sometimes it can be quite difficult. You know, what if I want to run a gem repair build or an altruistic build as a survivor? The same principle applies. Just fumbling around trying to find the perks that you need to enter the match. Sure, you could do it before, but sometimes you want to do it as a response to who you're in the team with, or as a killer, what they're bringing into the match. You know, seriously, behaviour do need to sort this out. It's such a basic feature having, you know, builds, especially when it comes to killers that live or die off their build. For example, the weaker killers like Myers, or if you're using a different genre of Myers, so Scratch Mirror Myers, or weak killers like Trapper. Some killers like Spirit, you know, I've seen people that have 4K'd with absolutely no perks because they're so good, because they're so applicable to every map and they're so well versed in terms of their kit. But some killers really do need certain builds in certain situations. So build loadouts, I think, is one of the most important things we need in the game, to be quite honest. It will just make it a lot easier, a lot more smooth lined. So there we have it for the first list on little changes that could make DVD even better than it is. What do you guys think? Do let me know your thoughts below. If you haven't already, please do leave a comment, smash that like button and elbow drop that subscribe. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Heath Legend is out. Peace.
Yeah.